right, let's go. Let's go. She's here. Jalen, Carson are absent. All right, so our full energy is all about what's happening in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from today, we know our EOC. Okay, so these last 2 weeks, in and out of here, there's a lot going on. You'll have other tests. You'll have days where you won't see me, especially third period. After lunch, usually we're back to normal. But you guys will be missing a few days. Let me show you a few things that I have available for you to help you prepare for. Did it again. To help you prepare for your EOC. Okay. Here's what you need to know. You have to individualize your preparation for this test. You know what I mean by that? Okay. What you feel is a strength of yours may be a weakness for somebody else. So by me coming in here, and we'll do a lot of things together, right? For today, we'll run through a Kahoot, and we'll do some review. But I will put a blanket of review materials online. Okay, we've done a couple things already. I've given you a few packets. We'll go over those. We'll work on those. But you have to focus on what you feel are your weaknesses to try to bring those up. Okay, if there's anything that's going to bog you down, you need to know what that is. And I'll give you plenty of opportunities and materials to prep for that. Yes, there's some cumulative review materials that you can take tests, and then it'll hit some remediation for you too. Let's see. There we go. Yes. Yeah, let me just share with you a couple things, okay? On Google Classroom, I put a few things, and I will continue to add things to this list. For one, all right, so you can see I've created an assignment materials really, and you will find a variety of materials in here, including quite a few PowerPoints that break down the information that we've covered. Fiona, you mind grabbing that? Okay. So I'm not going to go over this now. Okay, I don't want to waste our class time when we are together going over PowerPoint materials. Okay, you will do yourself a disservice if you do nothing and prepare for this test. Okay, I'm telling you now, I can take you where you need to go, but you have to put in the time, especially these last 2 weeks. You've covered a lot of material this year. It's a lot of things that we've done. Okay, you may think you're good, you may think you remember, but prove to yourself that you are. So there's no questions when you walk into that test in 2 weeks. All right? Okay. So let's load up your computers. Let's play a quick round of, I say quick, there's probably most of the day we'll practice. Alright, game pin. If you'd rather play with somebody else, you can work together. 954-927. Let me write that down in case somebody gets booted off. Join me, please. I'm jamming. I'll jam my head. Luke, no, if y'all need to come closer, there's empty tables up here. or anybody in the back if y'all need to see.
Was your cheer rating good? Was your cheer rating good?
Waiting for 9 more. 9 more. Play together. They must.
Wait, y'all want to get our Oreo? That's really creative.
Who else are we waiting on?
Me.
Come on, me. What's going on, Mike? Connecting issues.
Sophie.
Anybody else having technological issues? What's going on? Ready? Alright. 17? That's all we got? Alright. Starting up. 58 questions. We'll see how many we get through.
See how many I know.
What you
Oh, I got this one. Okay.
Mine's not showing me anything. Oh my god, I lost Wi-Fi. They kicked me out.
I wrote the code on the board. Join us back if you need to. You may want to make sure you're on the wireless NCSB or else you may get booted. Good job. Hey, we're going to breeze through these pretty quick, so get your answers in. Nice. We call them eukaryotes. Ty still in the lead through 2 questions. Structure, function. You don't see that? Okay. Water, oxygen, CO2 to pass, but most things are blocked.
I'm falling further and further behind.
Somebody's a little quicker than
I'm in
me.
second, but you put like this. Oh,
Semi-conservative model of DNA replication. What does that mean?
Did you make this for yourself?
Alright, so remember, 2 molecules, each with 2 new strands. The semi-conservative model of DNA replication takes the 2 parental strands, separates them, adds a new strand to them. That's why each one has one of the old and one new. Okay. start with this one.
I don't know what it is.
Why is it 4?
Because there's only 4 amino acids.
What do we call a 3-base sequence? Codon, okay? If there are 12 bases up there, 12 divided by 3 is 4. So each codon, remember your codon wheel?
Yeah.
If you have a question about, transcription or translation, you will be provided this information. You won't have to remember any of the codons or amino acids, okay? But remember, it could be the table or it could be the wheel, so make sure you remember how to read those. Are there any questions with that? So truly, I could have said 0 up here. Why? Because really we don't start until we see a start codon. But their intention is for you just to read these in 3-block sequences, right? So remember how we translate? We do this in between each 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4 codons. I know. Well, if everybody would answer, we wouldn't have to wait for the.
There are stragglers.
Okay. Remember what mutations are. Point mutations. We're moving either substitution, insertion, or deletions of the DNA. And by inserting a nucleotide into the DNA, it's going to shift the amino acid sequence. And so we call those frame shift mutations also. Good job. Most of you got that right. Who's 007? Donovan? Hey, I like the fact that you narrowed it down to mRNA or tRNA. Okay, mRNA is the big one. That's your messenger RNA. That's carrying the sequence, but tRNA transfers it, remember. tRNA is bringing the amino acid to the ribosome. The mRNA just has the message for it. That's why it's
I
tRNA.
literally said, like,
That is a name.
what is it?
I see mitosis up there. Parthenogenesis. That's a thing too.
Katie said it right.
Did she? Partheno. You know what it is?
What is it?
Isn't it when it's
Awesome. Good job. Parthenogenesis is, or some animals are able to reproduce, and the female can basically store the sperm and not become pregnant right away. She can wait until she feels that the environment would be suitable for her to be pregnant. A lot of some reptiles can. Anna, did you rejoin us? job. Uncontrolled silver. Meiosis, we definitely need to know the difference of mitosis and meiosis. Meiosis is all about gametes. Oreo in the lead. Who's Oreo?
Zoe!
Fats, oils, and cholesterol are?
You're welcome. You're welcome. Oh, it's like the wrong one.
Good. Let's drink. Quicker now. What's the NA stand for?
Oh, like, mass? I've already answered it. That's Dorothy and Lollipop. Oh my gosh, I have one. What are you doing? You can get up. I have a tablet. What did you catch?
The pictures? I have no clue.
Who couldn't park?
Oh my gosh, I'm solid. I was leading through two. These are my goal.
Yeah, I'm gonna shoot a couple of them.
Leading early.
I was leading early and then slowly fades back.
What do enzymes do in chemical reactions?
What does that picture even have to do with that? It's the Instagram is the enzyme added to your nose. This is the one thing that I understand. Sure. I'm not going to place anymore.
Sugar, phosphate, base.
I know my fault. Then you got it.
Remember, sugar, phosphate, base. That's nucleic acids. What's your sugar in DNA? Deoxyribose. Phosphates are the same for both. All right, your base, remember the base differences between DNA and RNA? What replaces T? U. Uracil replaces thymine in RNA. Please don't say oxygen. Somebody will.
You can tell Titus almost an oxygen.
Good, thank you. Be a little quicker. Sorry, guys. Good. Properties of water.
It was so weird. I think
What properties of water?
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember that. It was in like the middle of the two. Yeah, it was in the Gold Coast. Where is it? Oh, summer.
All right, remember, okay, and we'll go back and review. Water has those unique characteristics. High heat capacity, okay, specific heat. Characteristics of a universal solvent. It can dissolve most things, okay. Less dense as a solid. rarity that things are less dense when they solidify. They have the ability to have cohesion and adhesion. What's the difference between co and adhesion? Cohesion is water to water. Cohesion is when two light substances attract. Adhesion is when two different substances are attracted. Think of adhesion or adhere like tape sticking to the table or something else. Cohesiveness is when light substances come together.
Mine's keeping me off of it.
You and your computer issues.
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's talk, since quite a few of you missed that. All right, why would the root tips be most likely to have
Different places.
specialized cells for division? Cell division is growth. Okay, when we think of cell growth, root tips are one of the major places where plants are going to grow. All right, the other one, those are those meristem tissues, right? You have those apical meristems too. So it's in the stems, but a lot of times in the roots. Remember we looked at the onion root tips? We said this before. You see close, a lot of mitosis going on towards the tips. That's where those new cells are being developed. All right, moving on. Xylem. Okay. So let's talk xylem. Xylem is part of what type of tissue in plants? Vascular, very good. Vascular tissue, there's two types of structures inside that vascular tissue. Xylem being one, and the other is phloem. Okay? How do you remember the difference? Because vascular tissue is just transport, right? Just like your cardiovascular, transporting materials. Water is xylem, right? Phloem is nutrients, sugars, photosynthetic products. Here's how I remember it. I always think of xylem as an X, pretty odd letter. You don't see a lot of words that start with X. W is right next to X in the alphabet. Xylem is water. Okay. However you want to remember phloem is fluid. I don't know, maybe phlegm, you cough it up and it has different fluids in there. But don't get the two confused. That's a common question asked about transport in plants, xylem and phloem. Phloem is everything, basically nutrients and so on. Xylem is specific to water because we know how significant water is to travel up the stems and into the leaves for transpiration. Remember, stoma or stomata are the openings, transpiration, water in and out, gas in and out. Those guard cells are able to open and close them to keep them from transpiring in times where maybe they don't want to lose water. So they can literally close up as needed. Where are most of those stoma found on a leaf? Underneath. Remember the fingernail polish that we did? When we compared the top to the bottom, those stomata are primarily on the underside to prevent excess water loss. The epidermis is the outer layer of tissue on the leaves. It's kind of that waxy, greasy, the cuticle. A lot of times on the leaf. Seed protects the zygote on the inside. Yes.
Well, we set it around the back.
Yeah, that's a weird way to say the question.
Ooh, only 5 of you.
I got that right.
You have a closed circulatory system. Blood pressure is not caused by cholesterol or stress or removal of oxygen. Those things happen, right? But what causes that pressure is the pumping of your heart. Your ventricles are pumping, right, or contracting. And as they do so, right, we see that top number, it's systolic over diastolic. I want 100% accuracy on this question.
I know for 5 seconds before it gets.
Good job. Hey, we got it mute down, I feel.
Lymph nodes.
I can see how you would put green. I can see that, okay, but that's kind of secondary. Your endocrine system works along with your immune system, right? But overall, the function of the immune system is to make those white blood cells, both specific and non-specific, to help protect against pathogens. Your body sees it as a pathogen, even though it's harmless. That's what allergies
I
are.
put inflammatory response. Why?
Is this a disease?
Darn.
Antibiotics are antibacterial, okay? Not viral. Viruses are not affected by antibiotics. That's why you get the flu, you can't get, the doctor's not gonna prescribe you antibiotics. You can get an antiviral medication, right? But there's definitely a difference. That's like antiviral. Your DNA or your DNA is your genetic fingerprint. That's what it's called. Yeah.
Nico. He's got a strong immune system. Have you ever seen like lawnmower like
talked about this.
I clicked the wrong one.
Who said that? Zygote forms after fertilization. For those of you that said an unfertilized egg is just an egg. Once sperm and egg come together, then we have a zygote. That zygote moves through the fallopian tubes, turns into that morula, eventually implants itself as a blastocyst. That's why we see that's not right. That's not right. It's not right. Green's not right. Forms into a blastocyst is what I would say. The zygote eventually does. It's made up of it's one cell, but that kind of starts to go. So I don't necessarily like that question, so we'll pretend it wasn't there. If you got it wrong, that's okay, even though you don't get points for it. Week, what do we call it? Good job. We start fetal development at 8 weeks. Changing gears a little bit, populations with a picture of a bomb. Tail is streaking.
I forgot to put that egg.
Abiotic factors, examples. Good. What are abiotic?